One.
Happy birthday!
It's nobody's birthday.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Sorry.
maybe somebody's out there, but
It can be
not
my
ours.
birthday.
Well, I just went straight to
I'll
Frosty
take-
the
I'll take
Snowman. I
credit.
like it.
Happy birthday.
Anyhow.
How is everybody? We had a good 4th of July. Though the freaking fireworks were too I mean, they didn't have any.
I sat on the couch with my puppies.
I watched them all the way home for 2 nights.
Oh, wow. You did, didn't you?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
For those of you who don't know, I have 5 Chihuahuas, and they're not very big fans of fireworks. And they were really happy because we sat on the couch with them, and there was only a couple of gurs, and everything was good. A couple of gurs, you know, with a big one.
And they all had little tiny headphones on.
It did. I think it did help the poop along when it was outside time. Yeah, every now and then, like one of the mortars would go off. Boom.
Scared out of them.
You're done. Okay, let's go inside. That's a lie.
That's awesome.
That's a lie.
Well, I hope
No
everybody
animals were
else
hurt in this broadcast.
had a great 4th of July.
Yeah, we took a break. That's our first break of the year.
I know, our first break of the year. How crazy is that?
I had a great time.
We did have fun.
Oh, that's
we
right.
did have
we
fun.
had a great time. Yeah.
Even though I wasn't there on Sunday, I missed Sunday, but I still had a blast the times I was around you guys.
Part of Sunday.
Oh well, yeah, I was there part of Sunday until my podcast, and then I had to jet. It's like, oh, I can't. I've already scheduled the podcast.
For everyone questioning what we're talking about, Ken actually came over and hung out with us in Southeast Kansas and Oklahoma, and we took him around.
Yeah, because
and then...
Ken's not too good for us, like Adrian.
Adrian couldn't make it. He had to work. Seriously.
Work. Why do you have to work? You don't have to save lives every day.
I'm sorry.
He had to wear a mask all weekend.
One of those things. Just hold on, sir.
Let me go over here.
Another fun part of last weekend was Scott got to come and hang out with us. And that brings us to tonight. This is Scott Rademacher. Rademacher? Rademacher.
If that's how you pronounce it.
Didn't we have this situation at the thingy too?
Probably.
And you misspelled my name.
Oh, yeah.
I just called him Scott. So it was much easier for me.
Yes. I'll go with Scott.
That'll work.
Scott's from the Ark City area. So kind of more southeast, a little getting close to South Central Kansas. And
where was that? North, south, southeast?
South Central.
South Central in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't even have a map, and I was way lost on what she was just
saying. Scott runs Kansas Sightings Facebook page, and I actually ran across him last year when we were looking for people for Paracon, and it was through Scott that I met Brian Terrell with Red Dirt Cryptids, and Brian's actually in the chat tonight too, so I'm sure he'll be harassing us here in a little bit.
Or Terrell.
Brian Terrell. No, it's Terrell. But yeah, we're really, really happy to have you, Scott.
Yes.
Appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us.
Should be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it should. I'm sitting here like chaotic. In my own little world. I'm trying to get these pictures lined up.
That's the fun part tonight, everyone. Scott has great evidence that he sent us to show tonight, so we'll have lots of stuff to discuss and check out. But just to get started.
Let's get started. Get started.
To get started.
Let's get started.
Just to get started. What got you into this, Scott?
What got me into it? Well, I think ever since I was a kid, I was fascinated with the Bigfoot stories. That Roger Patterson book.
Yeah.
The 70s or 60s or something. But anyways, that was a book my dad had, and I always remember reading it. Fascinated with Bigfoot. I still actually got the book. It's somewhere. It's not very good.
That's awesome.
Still got it.
That's really cool. So
bet
do
it's
you
beat
focus
up.
specifically on Bigfoot, or what kinds of things do you like to focus on?
That's pretty much my main thing. But you know, I'm always interested in ghost tours or you know, investigating ghosts. You know, anything that's unknown really just fascinates me. UFOs, I mean, hey, you know. And anymore, I don't know if you guys know much about the whole dogman thing or not, but that's a pretty interesting subject.
It is fascinating.
Yeah, we talked about him just
Yeah.
a little while back.
A
Yeah,
little while back. We
Yeah,
did.
we did. Yeah, it's pretty
Dogman.
Interesting.
And it makes you wonder too how many dogman stories actually have been called Bigfoot, you know, and would more
Right.
likely fall
No.
under dogman.
Yeah.
Probably more out there than we know about.
Yeah.
I tell
For
you,
sure.
Scott and I looked for cryptids over by the river,
Down by the river. Sorry.
and we didn't see anything except fish and birds and turtles, maybe.
No feet prints, nothing.
Just our own.
I found ticks. That's all I found out
God,
there.
they are abundant this year, aren't they?
Oh,
Was I
mosquitoes.
the only one that got bit out of everything we did that day and the next day?
That's because you're so sweet.
Is that what it is?
She's so sweet. That's probably why.
Maybe I need to be mean because dang.
It's the sweet ones y'all have to worry about.
Mhm.
I'm gonna start drinking some vinegar.
Karen in chat, she just asked, Scott, have you ever looked for Momo in Missouri?
Oh.
You know, as many times as I've been to Missouri, I really haven't looked, but you know, I've been out in the woods and always looking off in the woods trying to catch a glimpse of anything. You know, but I haven't really investigated out there. I'd love to someday.
That would be really cool.
what
Well,
part
you
of
know
Missouri?
somebody that lives there.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Who's that? Oh, I'm sorry. What? Karen lives there too. What part of Missouri have you investigated, or what area of the woods?
It was the southwest part there.
Okay, Ozarks down by.
Yeah, the Ozark. Yeah,
Springfield,
I've been to
Joplin
South
area.
Arkansas too.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
That's a neat place.
There's monsters there, I hear too.
Are you sure?
Adrian keeps telling us there are,
but
he doesn't go out there.
You know, I don't know. I don't do the outside stuff.
No, he doesn't go out there.
But
Mosquitoes will eat him.
And so much, everything will eat me out there because I'm tasty. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm not an outdoorsy kind of guy. You know, I mean, I'll go to the lake, I'll go to the beach and stuff like that, and I hang out. You know, but to go out there in the woods, the things they'll eat me. I know they will.
He stays away from trees.
I tell people, and it's just one of those things. Most people, if you know me, you know my number one rule is to never be food. I don't want to be food.
I don't want to be food either, but my curiosity sometimes gets the better of me.
My curiosity is trumped by not being food.
Brian just said in chat, Scott has him in his hometown too. So are there a lot of reportings around your area?
Yeah, there's quite a few interesting stories from this area. And all of them are along the Arkansas River and or the Walnut River.
Cool.
Actually, some of the pictures that I sent were west of here, along the river.
Awesome.
Which pictures from where?
And specifically talk about Bigfoot type of sightings, correct?
Right.
So now I never asked this question. I know I've listened to a couple of Bigfoot presentations and stuff. Never been to a Bigfoot convention. I was supposed to go to the one down in Falcon. I didn't do that. Other thing came up. But are most of the Bigfoot sightings close to bodies of water? Wouldn't they have to? They would have to be, wouldn't they? Because it's too large of an animal to survive on, or if it's an animal, to survive on leaves.
I don't know if have you seen the Legend of Boggy Creek, that movie?
Yeah.
Because in the movie it says they travel along the rivers.
Oh, that's
makes
true.
sense.
But yeah, I mean, around this area, most of the ones that I think just about all of them that I've really investigated or have heard about. They've been close to the rivers.
Mhm.
So, you know, Brian and I have talked about it. And we just think, you know, they travel along the rivers as like a map to go from one spot to the next spot. And there's a food source, and you know, so
Is it
That's
Food
just
and water, two of the
rivers
basics you
or
need.
just rivers or smaller streams or creeks that they call rivers or
creeks that they call rivers.
well, there's so many weird creeks that
Yeah.
are.
Jumped in and said
I
they
mean,
always
there's-
fall on the creeks.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I was just curious.
I would say they would follow the creeks too, because all the creeks lead to the big body of water like the rivers. So
yeah.
Yeah,
It's true.
hence.
Good point.
Cool.
That is
And when you go out, do you have a specific protocol that you follow?
Don't get eaten.
Well, yeah.
that's the number one right there. Yeah. Well, most of the times the ones I investigate around here are just ones that I've heard about from people. I've reached out to them, got in touch with them, and then you know, just go out and take some pictures of the general area and get an idea about what they've seen. And you know, I do have a backpack that I carry with me that has like binoculars in it, tape measure. I don't have a casting set yet, but I'm working on getting one. So I have that type of stuff with me. Because, you know, when you go out and you find some prints, you can't use your foot because nobody knows how big your foot is. So using a tape measure at point, you know, so that way everybody knows exactly how big the print was. And so.
Yeah. I would say that would be a big major thing is to carry a tape measure.
Right.
Or something to compare it to. I got a pen.
Or a banana. That's the big thing to put stuff up next to is a banana.
Yep.
Funny. So how many like footprints would you say that you think you've or that you have run across? How many would you say?
Me
A rough
personally,
estimate.
I've only, I don't know if I sent you that one that I took. I don't think I did.
Which one? Wait, what?
It's just a footprint of my
Oh.
foot and another one on the.
You a long time ago you sent that
Yeah.
one. I'll see if I can find it and I'll stick
But
it.
yeah, me personally, I haven't really found too many prints. That was about the only ones I ever found. I mean, the two pictures that I sent to you today were
Mhm.
taken over by Utah Springs, which is about 7-8 miles to the west of here. That was along the river.
Is that the dark figure?
Right.
Okay. Hang on,
Yeah.
y'all, and I'll show y'all what he's talking about. There you go. Yep, sorry, gang. You're gonna have to look in the YouTube.
I found that picture in Messenger, so I'll throw it on the drive real quick.
Yeah, a guy over there that I'm friends with actually sent me them pictures, and he just said that he was out. He goes fishing on the river and hunting and stuff, and he just noted something off in the distance about, I think he said about 75 feet maybe. And it was just a tall, dark figure, and then he said it peeked around the tree and looked at him. And then he snapped a picture, but
Oh, hang on. Let me get a. Well, maybe I need to lock all of them because it won't let me resize it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Saw that picture. It's pretty cool.
yeah, I need to get out there and get with him. We've been trying to get together. We just haven't come up with a good time.
That's the hardest part. Sometimes it's just
Yeah, sometimes
not
it
when
is.
to do
Yeah.
it.
So are most of your experiences, sightings of footprints? I understand that part. What do you look for when you're out there? Are you only looking for footprints, or what other things in nature are you looking for that might lead you to potentially find something in that particular area? What do you kind of
Right.
look for?
Some of the things that you might look for is like some tree branches that are like broken up at like a height of 7 to 8 foot. People believe that that's what they use as like their guide, like through the woods, to get from one spot to the next spot.
like markers.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
You know, where we would carve something in a tree, like idiots, you know, killing the tree. They would break a small branch off and.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And there's been many different pictures taken by many others to kind of show the same thing, and there's like a pattern to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's not like there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, that's just the weather. The weather's breaking them. But if it was the weather, there'd be more than just like one here. There would be more.
Good point.
Yeah.
7, 8 foot. You can kind of
I got
tell
that uploaded too.
if you were to like take a branch and like grab it with your hands and try to break it, you can kind of see, like a natural break from like the wind, as opposed to like two hands doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So most breaks from weather, a lot of those would actually happen at the trunk of the tree as opposed to the middle of a branch, correct?
Right.
Okay. Back to you, Shaw. Sorry.
No, I'm just gonna ask, like, because I know whenever I asked Robert this, he was kind of like, so there's a whole bunch of theories out there that whenever you see a UFO, soon you're gonna see a Bigfoot.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a connection to almost everything. I mean, Ken and I were talking about this the other weekend. And I think there's a connection with everything.
Well, I saw it on Bionic Man. Steve Austin, he saw Bigfoot, and Bigfoot was an alien. So always, since Steve Majors would never lie because he was an astronaut.
Right?
Google doesn't lie either.
Well, it's like a lot of people have the theory that aliens have an invisible cloak and they're the actual ghosts that are out there.
Oh, no. Freaking Romulans.
They're
Hey,
robbing me.
I almost resemble that.
So we got a lot of conversation going on in chat here. Karen asked, Scott, what does the sound that they make sound like a deep-throated grunt? If so, my dogs and I heard something on my property last weekend around 11 p.m. Never heard a woodland animal do that.
Yeah, it's a good possibility. Yeah.
She said it was strange. For once, my dogs were too scared to bark. They just huffed up and stared from behind me. And Brian got in there and said, the dogs know, trust them.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances where that happens. The dogs are just scared and they won't even.
Yeah.
They'll just hunker down and.
So the question was asked earlier. What got you started? You said you're always like into it. So when did you actually start going out and hunting, or?
Well, I actually got started in that when I met Brian. That was in 2018, maybe 19.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember exactly how I got in touch with him, but he started that red dirt cryptid out of Enid, and I got in touch with him, and then he came up here and we did a short video, and I just kept in touch with Brian, and wanted to join their investigation crew, and so because I've always been fascinated and I always thought it'd be neat to go out and do that stuff. And
are you normally an outdoorsy type of person, and just gives you a reason to be out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. I mean, I enjoy the outdoors, and I try to get my dogs out, and we'll just go walk out in the woods sometimes, and just to get out and enjoy.
Well, I always think it's see, I didn't believe in ghosts until I experienced one. Right? I didn't. Of course, my first story was was more of a crypto thing, anyways. But if that was real, then everything else was real. So it took something. It took me a moment to come across something, actually see it, to actually witness it, to actually get me to go that direction. And even now, as an air quotes ghost hunter, right? There'll be times, and I'll go through so many investigations that there's nothing going on. And after a while, I start thinking maybe I was crazy. Maybe it doesn't exist, because I go to places where other people say they witnessed a lot of things. I'm like, there's nothing here. And then I tend to tend to go cold for a little while, and then I'll get that one piece of evidence that moves me forward. So,
Right.
do you go through that same thing?
Well, most of the time when you do go out, there's not much really going on. There's a theory going around, and I think it's probably a pretty good one, to go back to the same spot continuously and keep going back to the same spot. And if they are there, you'll develop a relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
So you may not even know that they're actually there watching you. You may get a strange feeling, but if you continuously go back to that same spot, you'll develop a relationship with them and they'll show themselves.
Okay.
It's kind of what I understand.
Have you ever tried to do that? Have you ever like left gifts or anything like that?
Yeah, when I went over to Jefferson, Oklahoma with Brian and Coleman. I forgot. I think it was Jeff that was with us then. But yeah, we left a gift there on the bridge, and we'll just say, we left the gift here on the bridge for you. Just kind of develop like a relationship. That's what a lot of them really do. A gift is a way of showing that you're not meant to harm them. You're not there to harm them. So, yeah.
Have you ever felt like they were like right there listening to you, probably watching you while you're doing this or while you're out there wandering around?
A couple times that I've been, I really haven't felt anything like that. But some of the investigations that Brian's been on, and I've watched his videos, they've felt that presence. And there was a couple times where I think Brian said there was something that may have been behind him, and he was trying to show it, but yeah, I do believe that they will watch you, and you won't even know it. So you may get a feeling, but for the most part, like I said, developing that relationship, I think, is the biggest thing.
So you think their fur, I guess, kind of like a ghillie suit type thing that just blend into the world around them?
Yeah,
like a natural.
I think so. I mean,
like Harry and the Hendersons, the last scene,
right.
The last scene, they're all there, and you're like, oh, he moved.
Yeah, I know. They just come out of nowhere, right? Right.
Sorry.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, the way I kind of look at it, it's like, just like, 'cause you're at your house, and you know where everything's at. You can walk around your house in the dark.
I do not know where everything's at in my house.
Okay, bad person to tell that one to. Next. So,
I know where the large items are, but yeah, I can walk around it, but I don't know where anything's at.
Right. So that's the way I kind of feel. They know the little hiding places they can go to. They know where they can blend in at, and not be seen. So yeah. But once again, it's a theory. So who's right? Who's wrong?
There's also there's kind of a division on whether Bigfoot is an actual creature, an animal, flesh and blood, or if he's possibly something else, interdimensional, something like that. A what?
What did you say, Adrian? He's a what?
That's a shape changer.
Oh, a shape changer. What is your theory on that? Do you have one, or are you kind of up in the air on it?
Some of the stories that I've heard, that there's actually been people that actually have killed one. So I would believe that actually is just a flesh and blood animal. And it could be that, it still could be that it's, part of the UFO phenomenon. I mean, doesn't mean that they can't be.
Right.
Just means that, they can be heard.
I always come at things, even ghost hunting, I come at things from a skeptical perspective. So when I look at Bigfoot and stuff, I go into the same argument that a lot of people do. Never seen no bones out there. There are no, you think you'd be dead one. Somebody talked about they like the outdoorsy version, scat. I thought it's poop. Anyhow, that's just because I like the word poop, and I'll throw it in there as much as I can.
I was wondering when he was going to throw it in here.
I've been
We
waiting.
knew it was coming.
It's coming sooner or later.
Took you 26 minutes.
Ooh.
That's a record.
You weren't paying attention because I said poop at 5 too. But I wonder, that's why I lean more towards the, I mean, if you're going to believe in one thing, you got to believe in everything, right? So as people talk about shape changers and stuff like that, that makes actually more sense to me than some big 8-foot tall, huge foot animal out there, because I would think that you would see them, right? Even if they hide. Because I don't see deer all the time, but I see them dead on the side of the road all the time, right? So it's like you think you'd see a dead Bigfoot. Oh, oops, like Harry and the Henderson. But
well, see, there's an abundance of deer.
He didn't die. He didn't die. But I don't want to ruin the movie for everybody. But but when we started a team, we had several different people. One of the people that came to our team was a archaeologist. And he said, no, I wasn't in pyramids. I wasn't doing stuff like that, digging up bones and dinosaurs. He said what he had done is he was hired by the electric company. And when they were running wires across country, they would have to do core samples every so often so they wouldn't disturb an archaeological site. So that's what they were looking for, things like that. He said, and they were like way out there to the point to where they had to use a fuel truck in order to fill up to go back, right? So they're way out there. And he said they're doing their core samples. Him and the crew, they looked out, and in the wood there was a man in a suit walking through the woods. And I'm like, yeah. And it just messed me up, because I'm like, what'd you do? He said, absolutely nothing. I'm like, what? It's in the middle of nowhere in a suit. So he started thinking, that's when he brought it to me. He thought shape changers. I'm thinking, if he's going to turn it 8 foot tall, the whole thing was I never did understand the Hulk, and his shirt ripped off, but his pants stayed on. I never
understood that either.
My mom always waited. But
wouldn't be a good TV show. It wouldn't be a TV show if he didn't have pants. Would not be allowed.
But I just want, so where do they go? What do you think? Long story for the
Adrian jumped in there, or Adrian. Brian jumped in there too and said, Adrian, people do see them all the time.
Do they?
Yeah, yeah. And I agree with Brian. A lot of people do actually see them. It's just that they don't report them. They don't say nothing.
Because they're not. Well, I know a lot of people aren't sure.
Right.
What they actually see.
Yeah. You got.
And some people ain't going to tell their business, either.
I mean, my oldest boy, the encounter that we actually had, he's the one that's seen it, and he don't want to talk about it. And that was, and I think it was like 2015 or 16 maybe. But yeah, he don't want to talk about it. And I've asked him, I keep mentioning it to him, and he's just like, no, I don't talk about it, because he's not sure what he's seen. He's still trying to process it.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days he'll say something, but.
I have a question for you. Oh, what?
Was he excited?
I did upload that picture of his foot next to a big footprint. It's in the drive. It's just out by itself. It's in Scott's folder, but not in a folder.
Okay. I'll grab it in just a minute. I have our friend from the Netherlands is on, and that one wants to ask a question that is a ghosty question. So Scotty, you're world famous.
Yay!
Well, it's the Netherlands.
They want to know, how do you relate to a ghost that has no concept of English and the Christian faith?
Oh.
Yeah, that stumped us too when we heard it.
That's always been my question too.
Ken's friend kind of, he speaks German, and he kind of talked about that the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think they would be more familiar with their own language, but as I said before, and my theory that once we die, we kind of gain the concept of all languages, so we can kind of communicate with everybody.
Communicate with that.
I hope
I
so,
think-
because
We go-
my butt's not
we-
staying here in the United States. I'm traveling.
We go to
I-
the language before the Tower of Babel.
I guess if you're a ghost long enough, you have time to learn different languages. Maybe.
Norway. I'm
don't know.
sorry. Norway. He's from Norway,
Oh.
not the Netherlands.
Oh.
I am
Norway.
so sorry.
That is a big faux
Norway.
pas.
And like
Well,
Steve was talking about a few weeks ago.
He's like, I am not
Yes.
Dutch.
Enzo says, teach it how to use Google Translate on your phone.
Oh,
There you
right.
go.
I like it.
Good thinking, Enzo.
Well, I was asking him about Bigfoot and Yeti and stuff over there, and he says, well, does a size 18 foot count? And I said, is that your shoe size? He's like, I'm 6'9". I'm like, okay.
Good grief.
And he's the short one.
He's a short one.
That's what he said. He's the short one of the family.
So I would question,
They're the
does he
short
walk
one.
around in the woods and in the, barefoot?
'Cause I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl. I'm sorry. You're American. No
Yeah.
need to say sorry.
So
Well, I
But-
do have
but,
German.
yeah. Well,
Do I
like
want to
Steve
admit
was-
that?
like Steve was mentioning a few weeks ago, yes, he speaks pretty fluent German.
mhm.
But he and I together, we've actually heard over the spirit box, which I use a lot, we've heard German, French, English, Russian,
Mhm.
several other languages, Italian, several other, we may have even
Spanish.
heard Spanish. We may have even heard Native American, but just
Mhm.
didn't recognize it.
Right.
Because, we do a lot of stuff at a lot of Indian burial grounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
they do have a tendency, if you speak their native language, they will interact with you a lot more.
Mhm.
So they may not
Yeah,
even be able
mhm.
to speak English.
Mhm.
So that's my answer to whomever it was.
But if you die,
Great question.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't you think we could accumulate other languages?
I think we could.
I would think
Sure.
the big expanse
I
of
would
our
I
think
think they
brain
would be more excited
open.
to speak in their,
Things,
maybe their
things
native
to do
tongue.
things to do in the afterlife. Let's learn a new language.
I've asked the question.
It's
if
in the
they-
book
if
of
they
the
could-
recently deceased, the handbook.
Yes, there you go.
Beetlejuice,
Uh,
Beetlejuice,
I-
Beetlejuice.
There you go. Only say it twice. There you go.
Well, you're talking about language, so there's some people that believe that the Bigfoot actually do have a language of their own.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I would assume that it would vary per region.
Mhm.
So,
Probably do have dialects, kind of like we do.
Ooh.
That's an
like
interesting concept.
when I was
yeah.
down at that Honabi Bigfoot Festival like 2 years ago,
Mhm.
so we went out that night, and one of the guys was actually talking Choctaw. And I remember visiting with him about it, and that's what he believes. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I'm sure Brian will know. But yeah, so I believe that, if you do know certain types of Indian language, you could communicate with them.
And I've heard
Only
so many
go ahead.
stories that I've heard so many stories of from Native Americans that
Right.
historically, 800,000 years ago, whatever, they encountered them all the time and interacted with them.
Mhm.
But of course, they also talk about portals,
Yeah.
a lot.
There's a
So,
tribe up in, I think it's Oregon, the Hoopa tribe, and they
right.
are still very, very interactive with them. Dave Paulides has
Makes
written a book
sense.
about it, actually. Yeah.
Makes sense. That's a hot spot up there in that area.
Mhm.
I do have someone in the Twitch channel, Larian. He started off saying in a suit, like suit and tie. Either we know all languages after death, or it's more of just feelings that get translated.
It could be. It could be
Ah.
more of a, yeah,
I can see that.
yeah.
Because German, while German language is pretty awesome and all that, it is kind of a harsh language, and I would feel like somebody would be yelling at me all the time.
Right.
So
Maybe
I
they
don't know.
see our emotions more than, anything, and might be able to communicate better that way. I don't know.
That
It's a
can
good
be true.
question.
Back to cryptids.
Brian did put in the chat, he put Troy Hudson was the name of the the guy,
Oh, yeah.
Scott.
Yeah.
Well, the
And
only
he
thing I've
also
ever
said thought language.
And then
Yeah.
he said
very
thought language,
possible.
Oh, thought language. Yeah.
So telecommunications, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ESP. Yeah. Yep.
the only language I've ever heard that was supposed to be Bigfoot was like the howls.
There
Just-
is a
Like
recording,
clicking.
and Brian and Scott, you'll have to help me with this. It's very famous. It's by a group of men that had a camp that they would go to, and it was in the middle of a national forest where it wasn't supposed to be. But they recorded what sounds like Bigfoot having a conversation back and forth, and you can't make out the words, but you can tell by the inflection that they're having conversation, and it's
Right.
really cool. And yes,
I
the
wanna
Sierra
find that.
sounds.
Sierra
Brian just
sounds.
put that in. It's called Sierra Sounds, and it is on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's worth listening to. If you guys don't do anything else tonight, go check that out because it's fascinating.
Let's see if I can find it for you guys when y'all were chit-chatting. I do want to say Polar Knight said, did you hear the news? Bigfoot claims to have seen Scotty Dean. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it.
He believes in you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karen had a good comment here too about this topic we're talking about. Maybe ghosts project images which turns into words for us because animals communicate with us without words. So
Yeah.
it could very well be not just ghosts, but Bigfoot. And I think a lot of it has to do with telecommunications.
Okay, let's put this in the realm of the really real. Okay. The
Okay,
really
hold on.
real, the really real world. Okay.
Okay.
I'm a medical professional. I've been a medical professional for 38 years, right? Working in the hospital, I deal with people who don't speak our language a lot, right? Quite often, and in multiple languages. So there's no way I could know all of them anyway. Do I get my job done? Can I make myself clear by action, by doing things? Sure, I can. I think ghosts speak their own language. But if they're like around, they've been around for a long time, they may pick up on languages of other people talking around. So I think there could be that. But I don't think I don't think that if I die and all I spoke is German my entire life, and then all of a sudden some dude from Oklahoma comes up and says, "Hey, is there anybody here in this room with me?" I'm gonna go, "Yeah, I am."
Well, they learn English too. So
not way back when.
Hey, there's a lot of them that knew other languages.
No, well, okay, yeah, but that's just my thought. That's my theory. I could be wrong.
Well,
if you ask my wife, I probably am, but and she's probably right because she knows where everything is in the house and I don't.
Well, while we're in this human flesh, our brain is only what the average brain amount is 10%. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
8%, 10%.
I think if you use 10%, you're a genius.
So outside of the 10%, I mean, when you're outside of
you.
your body, do you think it may be 100%? And it would be like to learn a new language?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Sounds
Interesting
good.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe all the spirit boxes have translators in them.
Yeah.
No.
I actually did an experiment. Scott, when I was down, I don't know if I told you this, but when I was down in Mena, Arkansas, last September, I think it was, I tried to use Nanocom, which is similar to a spirit box, trying to communicate with them. And all I got was the battery got totally fried within a matter of like minutes, and a loud squeal came out of it. And I was just trying to experiment. Can I communicate over radio waves with them? I do feel that there was something was watching us about 10 feet away. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and like I said, about 10 feet away. And it was very tall, it was very dark, it was very, dark shadow behind a tree, and then the shadow moved out of the way, but never got any communications out of it. So that was like I said, an experiment. That particular one failed, unless the squeal was it was an answer. Like, oh no, you're not going to do this. Squeal, you're dead. You know, and then I put another battery in, same thing happened about 3 or 4 minutes later again. So, you know, any experiments like that? Have you guys tried anything besides, you know, taking logs and smacking them up against a tree, making the banging sounds or making the howls or anything like that? Have you done anything like that?
I don't necessarily think that doing them houses is a good way to get a response or look for it. But that's my opinion. I know that's what a lot of people really do think, you know, 'cause, you know, you watch the Finding Bigfoot shows and that's what they do. But I think all you might do is just get curiosity from it, and then they'll come up and then they'll see what you're doing and then they'll just walk away. But I think the best way to do it is leave a gift for them, keep going back and bringing gifts for them and develop that relationship.
Mhm.
Because they know that you're not a Bigfoot. I mean, you know,
Kind of
Good
obvious.
point.
yeah.
So when you go out there, do you carry a weapon? Do you only carry a camera and just your equipment?
Well,
I mean, what's your, I mean, do they sense that maybe if you do carry a weapon?
yeah. I do carry a sidearm with me,
Okay.
but I do keep it covered because the belief is that they do know what a firearm is. So, and they do know what a camera is. So a lot of the times it's been, you know, my experience and from what I've heard is they know what a camera is, so they won't show themselves to you. If you have a firearm, they won't communicate with you. They won't show themselves or anything because they know what a firearm can do.
Self-preservation, yeah.
So it's more along the lines of just going out there. I mean, sure, you got to protect yourself. So if you're going to carry your firearm, keep it covered,
Mhm.
you know. So it's, you know, it's just an opinion of mine. And I know there's quite a few others that feel the same way.
Okay.
And a lot of the stories, you know, I listen to YouTube a lot, like Sasquatch Chronicles, Cryptid, Dixie Cryptid. And there's been many, many stories about, you know, people have motion camera, you know, motion sensors, lights set up at their houses. And then, you know, they'll go out there the next day and the sensor will be pointed up.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so they know, they're pretty smart. They know exactly what they are. And then, you know, there's been times where they actually went out and they actually marked where the camera would, you know, like not the camera, but the sensor would actually go off, the light would actually go off. So they put like a stick in the ground and they'll know they can't go any further than that or the light will come on. So, you know, pretty smart. I mean,
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, you know, what is their eyesight like? Are they more like, do they have more of a night vision? Obviously,
that's
they
what I
do
would
than we
assume.
do. Yeah, so they can
Infrared
probably see the
Yeah, because
IR
I mean, to
lights.
me, they're more like a nocturnal animal.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
And I remember Brian told me when I went camping down there in Southeast Oklahoma, and I just took my youngest son with me and another friend, but he told me to, you know, to watch it after midnight because they will come in. So, and I
Cool.
won't even know it. That's what he told
Yeah,
me. So, you know,
that's
I
fascinating.
heeded his warning. I mean, I got a lot of faith in Brian, and so he's been doing a lot longer than I have, and he's, you know, and I'm still learning. I mean, you know, I think that's probably what keeps me going is learning new stuff.
Mhm.
This year, I kind of made it a point to do more things, to get out, and this is a start. So,
Awesome. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite place that you like to hang out and you don't need to tell us where, but do you
right.
have a favorite spot that you frequent a lot to get that relationship going?
Around here, it's just along the rivers, the Arkansas rivers.
Okay.
Walnut River, not so much because there's really not much. It's more wooded and there's not a lot of places where you can just go walk along.
Yeah.
But the Arkansas River has a lot of them sandy beaches and stuff that you can just walk for miles and miles. And that's actually where I found that one footprint that I took a picture of
the footprint.
over on the west side of town.
Yeah. Shaw.
Yeah, matter of fact, I crossed the Arkansas River a couple of times on my trip last week. And on the one, I'm looking out there going, oh my God, that river is so low. It was like 90% sandbar, and maybe I don't even know if a canoe could have gotten through parts of it. I forget what town that was, but it was actually in Oklahoma. So coming across, like, holy smokes, it's like poor. You guys haven't had any rain.
Yeah.
It's come up a little bit the past couple of days, but not much.
Okay.
Yeah, spurts here and there. Here.
Wow.
Now
you were mentioning nocturnal. Are most sightings at night as opposed to, sightings during the daytime?
The majority of them are dusk, dawn.
Okay.
Morning ones. There's been morning sightings. And the couple that have been around here that Brian gets a lot of the reports, and then he'll send them my way since I'm up here, and then I'll go out and talk to him, and then I'll get back in touch with Brian and see if it's like worthy to come out and make a video of it, or if he wants to come up and do like a further investigation into it. But there's been one that was actually in town at like 3 o'clock in the morning on the north end of town, and it was like in the middle of a residential area.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of times what we do when there's something like that is we'll actually look at the area from like Google Maps, and then you can see like where the trees are at, and if there's like a creek that comes up to that general area, and then we'll look at like dumpsters from restaurants, because we believe that they do actually come into town and scavenge through a dumpster.
Yeah,
it's a food source. So in this particular area, there was like 3 or 4 restaurants. So, there was some dumpsters there for a food source, But once again, it's a theory, and it would make sense because, I mean,
yeah,
going to get a quick meal.
Sure.
I thought it was interesting talking to Brian one day. He was like, he just looked at an overview of our area, and he's like, hey, you guys might want to check out these particular areas. One of them was pretty wooded, and there was dumpsters relatively close by, and I was really had never even considered those areas. So as a place to look, it's pretty neat.
I have the pictures.
Do you have them? Yay.
On the picture.
With the comments there, I was wondering if maybe they prefer McDonald's over Burger King or chicken, or I don't know. What you said something about filing reports or filling in reports. You guys actually file reports with some agency or anything like that to track all this stuff?
Brian has his own
like
website, and he's got a map where he pins the different sightings and the different reports and stuff. So I don't have that information with me, but
if you go to Red Dirt Cryptids on Facebook,
there you go.
Yeah, you can get to the links through there.
Yeah, and it's a really good map, and he's done a really good job of mapping the stuff out.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, and he covers this area, Kansas, Oklahoma. So,
okay, Shaw, bring us the picture.
It's up. It's up.
Is it up?
I see it.
Oh, we're just not seeing it. Sorry.
It's up.
So where was this along one of the rivers that you caught this footprint?
That one was actually right here on the west side of Ark City on the Arkansas River, and it was right there. Just right there on the outside of town. We're just goofing off over there one morning, and I noticed that print.
That's cool.
I just thought it was kind of odd because
just a single footprint.
Do what?
It was just a single footprint.
Well, actually, I got a video of the whole thing somewhere, to where I tracked it from across the river towards town, and it come across the river, and then you can actually see the prints, and like the dry sand where it just looked like a blotch, and then once it got into the sand that was a little bit wet, you could actually see an actual footprint.
Mm-hmm.
So in total, probably the total amount of footprints that I actually did find was probably in the neighborhood of, I don't know, probably maybe 30.
Wow.
And I actually, that one, we believe was actually a juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
had posted that picture or something like some years ago, and a guy messaged me and asked me about it. So his theory was that it was actually a juvenile, and they were on the river playing around, and the adults were actually in the woods that were directly to the west of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the weird thing about it was, so I followed the footprints, and it went on down to the south a little ways, and then it almost looked like something like spooked it, because then you can like tell that it like took off at a run. But then it went off into the brush. It didn't go into the path that was like maybe another 10 foot down. So
Barefooted.
yeah, I mean, and plus, you know, as a kid growing up, I spent a lot of time out the river, floating down the river, you know, goofing off, you know, having fun.
Yeah.
And I never went down there without any type of shoes on.
Oh yeah, you cut your
Yeah.
feet
You
to
know,
pieces.
there's glass, there's all kinds of stuff that you can step on. So,
Mm-hmm.
and plus it was a nice cool morning. It was probably maybe like 50 degrees, 60 degrees of that.
That's what, yeah, Brian said in the chat. He said it was found in wintertime.
Right. So, you know, to me, the chances of that actually being somebody that's out there barefooted, to me, it's
Slim
pretty
to none.
slim, but still make a
Yeah.
lot of sense. So,
No, it doesn't. And it wasn't like it was in an area, you know, that somebody pulled attention to and said, hey, you know, come over here and look for prints. Oh my, look here, you know, kind of thing.
yeah,
Wasn't a setup is what I'm trying to say.
right.
And Brian also said, look how wide that heel is on it.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
pretty wide.
Well, I started thinking about the. I mean, once again, here I'm Joe Skeptic. I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but I think of those sandals or river
Water shoes, yeah.
shoes
Yeah, I know what you're
with the toes. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that
but-
be wider than that though?
Well, no, but I would think that they would have. It doesn't. That's why I had to pull. I'm an old man. I had to pull a picture close.
You probably have a
And
print
I was
on
looking. Yeah, I was looking for a track or something like that. A tread in there.
tread.
But
That's the word. Yeah.
That's yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
and you know, and I think there's nothing wrong with, you know, Adrian questioning this stuff here.
No, not at all.
That
Mm-mm.
brings out good points. I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking questions like that. I mean,
Well, I ask questions on everything
No.
about the stuff that we get. It really makes my wife angry sometimes. But yeah,
Our Norwegian friend wanted to know, did you take a cast of the print? And also, where's it? Oh God, I lost it. Go ahead and answer that part and I'll look for the other part.
I actually did not, because that was back in the day where I really didn't do a lot of this stuff. And this is all part of the learning process to me right now. I mean,
Oh
no,
yeah.
I didn't take a cast of it, and I wish I would have, and I wish I could have. You know, looking back on it, I know the things that I need. You know, and that's
Yeah.
why, you know, I said bring a tape measure with you.
Yep.
Because
And then
you can
measure
measure
it, take a
6 inch
picture of
diameter.
it, then
Right.
cast it. Mhm.
Right.
So, Brian, we need you to hold a footprint casting class sometime
Casting
because I
class,
want to learn too.
Right?
Yeah.
His other question was, do you believe that there's a hierarchy among ghosts?
ghosts.
Yeah, like in the spiritual world, like in every country in the living world, there's some sort of hierarchy.
No,
You believe there's total freedom as a ghost?
I
no.
think so.
I have no idea. That's a good question.
Well, because there's
No.
some ghosts that feel like, I think that they probably still feel like they're alive or they're something because they're scared of something. And okay, like say some of the rooms that we're in, you can tell there's one spirit that's kind of scared of another spirit.
You know,
Yeah.
now that you said it that way, that's a
But
valid
are they
point.
afraid of ghosts or are they afraid of other things? I mean, there's
Yes,
some people
that's what.
some people believe that there are spirits, and then there of people who were alive one time, and then there are spirits of things that were never alive, so to
Mhm.
speak. So I mean, it depends on what you look at, and we can get all theological with that. Don't want to do that, but yeah, I do believe in that case, because even if you don't believe in demonics, in the house in Oklahoma that I talk about all the time, they're talking about they're afraid of that spirit. Although I think they're all this. Although I think they were all the same spirit. But anyhow,
we have a case that we've gone back and forth, and it seems like it's more of a child spirit, that it will only go to a certain point because it is afraid of what's on the other side of this specific area.
Yeah.
And what we think it is more like a nature spirit or something, along that entity. So I guess there could be a separation.
So one of them,
hierarchy.
I'm not like a ghost expert. One of them like ghosts.
One ghost to rule them all. That's great.
What's that? I'm sorry.
In the chat. Yeah, it's awesome.
So one of them be like a poltergeist or like the demons.
Yeah.
They kind of scare the other ghosts away, and they refuse to go past a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, and Polar Knight said he's not old as long as he remembers his name and where he lives. He's good.
But before we run out of time, I want to. Can we start zipping through his evidence that he brought?
Oh, that's right. He brought evidence, and we talked all over everything.
Alarian also said, and if it were someone running around barefoot, why would they run or hide?
Yeah, why would you run into the woods as opposed to run just a little bit further to the
maybe they're naked.
Which one do we want to go with first? Which folder do we want to go with first? You want to do the Indian school? We'll do the Indian school. All right, there we go.
Oh, Shalaka?
Yeah. I didn't want to mispronounce it.
Yeah, it's called the Shalako Indian School, and it's just right south of our city here in Oklahoma. And it's just they open it up about once a year. And so last year I was down there and I just took some pictures of the buildings, and supposedly there's some ghost activity down there. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but supposedly there is. So
do they open it up just for people to view, or do they open it up to investigate? Or
I'm sure if you would ask around, you can probably go down there and actually investigate it.
That would be cool.
Oh, that would be
cool. But they open it up once a year just for people just to drive in and go look around and take some pictures and stuff. So
awesome. She's flipping through the
pictures. I'm flipping through them. It is a neat place. That is, and it's beautiful. Though that red brick chimney kind of stands out.
Yeah.
Are you posting these?
They're on the Book of Faces. I mean, the YouTube.
We're actually supposed to go investigate that years ago, and then apparently they were doing some kind of not maneuvers, training out there, and they shut down our ability to go out there and investigate.
Oh, bummer.
I was pretty distraught about it. I cried for like 10 minutes.
Oh, look at those stairs.
Aren't the stairs cool?
Yes. That whole building looks cool.
The pile of chairs is just kind of creepy, though.
Yeah.
Is that what they are? It's chairs, isn't it?
I saw that in a movie once.
All right. Next, we have the Dalton Gang hideout.
That's actually out in Meade, Kansas, out in western Kansas.
I was just underground?
going through there. Yeah. So what the deal was is, so the Dalton Gang would come into town on the south end of town, and they would come out to the barn and put their horses up, and then they actually made a tunnel that went up to the house. And it was like, I don't remember, some relative of theirs. So yeah, that's what they would do, and I just thought it was just a neat thing.
Oh yeah,
that is cool.
But yeah, it's out in western Kansas, Meade, Kansas. So
man,
that area, it's just a neat little thing.
It is. Man, to have that
path things.
Tunnel, wow. Yeah. And that tunnel still looks like it's an immaculate. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have fixed it up and everything over the years.
Yeah, you can just walk. So you come into it and you go out to the barn, and they got a little museum out there, and then you can just walk right through that tunnel to go to the house.
Whoa!
Yeah, wow. It's pretty neat. I gotta say.
So did they like build it up, or was it bricked up like that when the Dalton Gang was using it?
They bricked it up to make it safe.
Okay. Because it looks really neat. I was like, man, they spent some time on that, didn't they?
I mean, just think about what it to dig a tunnel. I mean,
Right?
Right,
Especially
yeah.
that size.
Really?
Holy cow. All right. Next one is Ellenwood, Kansas, Wolf Hotel.
Ellenwood, Kansas, the Wolf Hotel.
Yeah.
That's where the underground tunnels are at.
Mhm.
They had broths down there and saloons and
Wow.
all kinds of neat stuff.
I think it's been a few months. Jason Roberts was on, and I think he had led some tours out there too. It looks really cool.
It does. Oh my gosh.
So when I stayed there at that hotel, I actually stayed at the Wolf Hotel,
Hmm.
and the room where I was in was right next to the stairs that come up to the hotel where we were at. And it was probably like 2:30 in the morning. And the only people that had access to it were the people that actually staying there in the hotel. Well, somebody walked up them steps and it got to the top and stopped because I heard them.
Whoa.
And that was it.
Nice. That's
So-
cool.
Oh, whoa. Now, are those tubs?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh,
because there was
like
like a
coffins.
bathhouse that was down there. It was in the tunnels.
Oh my
Wow.
lord.
Take the tunnels and you're like, I mean, you like come to these rooms.
Oh.
There's like saloons down there and like a bathhouse.
Oh man.
I mean, it was pretty neat. I mean,
Was
most
this
of the tunnels have collapsed, but it's still worth it to go up there and
Check out.
because they're
Check
in,
it out.
yeah, they're been restoring that Wolf Hotel and they've done a great job. It's really pretty neat.
That's
Just
really
kind of
cool.
dating back to the 18, maybe 60s through 90s,
Right?
that era. Okay.
That is cool.
Next is
Friendship.
Folk, right? Folk, Arkansas. Did I say that right? Folk, Arkansas.
Falk.
Oh, South
Oh.
Arkansas.
Did you just say
I
folk?
said folk. I did. I'm from the South.
That-
Okay.
Excuse me, but Falk is south of here.
Well, I'm from Dothan, Alabama, which is even further south. Okay.
Yeah, but it's souther than where you are now.
Souther.
Souther.
But it was more souther.
It was more souther.
More souther. Yeah.
Yeah, Falk is like one of those places that's been on like my bucket list to go to. And
Mm-hmm.
I got away on a weekend and went to the Monster Mart that's there in town. They got a little museum there. It's pretty neat.
Weren't you supposed to go to that, Adrian?
I think I mentioned that earlier. Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
I was supposed to go. I really wanted to go. And because it's just one of those things. I'm in Arkansas. It was an Arkansas event
Right.
and I had the opportunity to go and then life
Live,
Life-
right?
happened.
And they have some really cool castings there, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
And if I remember right, all the castings were taken around Falk.
And look
Got
how
one right-
different they are.
I got one right
Oh,
over
sorry.
there, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, there's a lot of castings.
Mm-hmm.
Hang
Is
on,
that
there's
one
one more
from-
picture.
Is that one from like a dog man? The one on the end? Really long and narrow.
It is, isn't it? On the end.
Mhm.
Oh. I was trying
I'm looking at a picture that's about this big though.
I am too. I'm looking. I have my phone set to the
Yeah,
side
you
to.
You look at
Yeah.
mine, it's bigger.
It's
Well,
bigger.
here, that's what I'm looking at right there.
All right, I'm going to play the Sally House. So y'all are gonna have to
Oh.
either turn it up or it's on repeat. Hang on just a second. Stop the loop. Well, don't stop the loop, but just give me a minute. All right, stop it. Okay. I gotta resize it because it's too big.
Uh-oh.
It is okay. So it's gonna be on a loop, and y'all can hear it. And hang on, and I will play it for you guys so you guys can hear it. Okay. Y'all should be able to hear my sounds, but if not, let me check, make sure. Sound, share sounds. Yes. All right. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Mhm. What was that? So did everyone else hear that as well, or just
Sound like
did
it said
find
mama.
it later?
At the end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what I caught. And when I was at the Sally house, I was just taking a tour of it. You know, you just go in there and you just walk around. So what I had, my plan was I was just going to go in there and just take my phone and just record, not record anything in particular. And so in total, I probably have about 15 minutes worth of actual video. And whatever that was in like the kitchen.
Yeah.
I that's the only time I've heard it on all the video that I got. So what it was, it's just a strange noise.
I've
And
been there. I've never heard anything like that at that
Yeah.
house. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
odd.
that was the thing. I don't really recall hearing it in person. I just heard it on the video. So
a lot of stuff's captured like that. You don't
Yeah.
hear it in real
Yeah.
time. Interesting. That's a cool one.
I did also hear, Pam, that the Sally house is now letting spend the night happen there.
Oh, are they doing it again?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So,
that would be fun.
yes, yes. Well, we're going to the Mac.
McIntyre.
Thank you,
McIntyre.
Bill. And from what I heard, Sally House is right down the road from it.
It's across town. Yeah, well, across town
about a
in
mile away.
Atchison's like maybe 8
mile.
blocks. Yeah.
May take a look-see and see if we can get it. If they'll let us. Of course,
It's very
full.
underwhelming from the road. It truly is, but it's a neat
heard.
place.
I
Yeah.
heard. But thank you for sharing the images in the video with us, Scott. That
Yeah,
was
cool
that
stuff.
was
welcome.
awesome. Those casts, goodness gracious, there was so many of them.
Yeah. I want to go to Falk. I've never been there. I'd love to go.
It's
I want to
south.
call it folk. I'm just
Go
gonna
to
call it folk just to
Folk.
irritate
Folk.
Adrian.
I want to make a whole line. I want to hit like Spyro, Heavener, you know, for the Runestone and just go that.
Sounds like a good
That'd
road
be
trip.
fun.
It
It does, doesn't it?
It does. Maybe
So
one of
like,
these
Kid, are you
days,
up?
these billions and billions of people will continue watching us, and we'll be able to do this and share with everybody
Yeah.
On the road. There you go.
on the road. Yep, AMOK on the road.
Oh
Well,
Lord, that would be chaotic.
So,
for
so
sure.
Scott, what do you do for fun?
Hey, wait a minute. Wait, AMOK is going on the road.
Oh, that's true. We
that's true.
are.
Yes.
are.
And we are, and we're gonna have to have a special, like a is it a Saturday show?
Yeah.
Or we and we're
And
we're actually going to the foreign land of Indiana. Do we have to take a boat, or I mean,
well,
Train. Wagon train.
Wagon
yeah.
With
I don't know.
With one mule.
And that's my birthday weekend, y'all.
Birthday weekend. So
Yay.
everybody send
Yes.
gifts. Send gifts.
Fun.
But yeah, we've been invited to bring the AMOK crew out to Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Bell Mansion, and we're hosted by the rock and roll ghost hunter himself, Keith
Oh.
H. As a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, we might have a quick little Saturday something too here in Arkansas, Paragold, where they're having an event that Santiago, however you pronounce it, Cirillo. He's a cool guy, but he's doing an event in Paragold, and I'm gonna be there. I think
I'm gonna be
Awesome.
there.
I'm gonna be there.
I will not be there.
But
We will be
gonna be
living
there.
vicariously through you.
As far as the program, as stated, next week we have the wonderful Martha Hazard Decker. She's from, I forget how to pronounce it. Texas.
Tejas.
Tejas. Another one of those foreign countries. But she is coming from, how do you pronounce that again?
Tejas.
Tejas. She's coming in October to speak at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo. Apparently I can't say expo either. And so we're going to have her on, and she's going to talk about what's going on in her neck of the woods in that foreign country next week.
That's right. I think Ken had one more question for Scott.
Oh, sorry.
That was like an hour ago. I don't remember.
What did he like to do for fun?
I was just joking and said, not really, but what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I collect oil cans, grease cans, signs.
Okay.
My whole house is, everybody says it's like an antique store. So
Very cool.
I bet you if you went to the Ray County.
Do what?
I bet you if you went to the Ray County Museum,
You would love it.
familiar. You would.
Yes, you would love it.
Probably be right at home.
It's a neat place.
Thank you
Every
so
room.
much. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Ken. Every
I was just
room.
gonna say, every single room is, what was there, 40 something rooms?
Oh God.
Yeah.
And chock full of stuff.
It was
From
very
that-
cool.
But for that particular topic, I guess you'd call it. So yeah, it was amazing.
Very
It was
cool.
pretty cool.
We
Okay,
did run
I'm
a
not-
little bit over, but Scott, we appreciate so much you taking
Yes.
this time
Oh,
to hang
yeah.
out with us. It's been a good
Yeah,
time.
thanks for having me.
Listening to our
Conversation.
talking over each other and
Right?
We are aptly
And like you
named.
said, this is just the beginning. So I'm sure we'll be asking you to come back on sometime around in the future
oh yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
And Scott will be at Paracon in Caney. It's September 30th with the rest of us. So
Yep.
if
So he gets to meet me in person.
he
Oh,
does
great.
get to meet Adrian in person.
Man.
Yay!
I
Right
am
now-
so happy for you.
Right now, you're just Memorex.
It'll be a good time for sure.
All right, everybody, don't forget to tune in next week. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye,
Bye.
millions of people.